In a bustling city in China, near a busy railway station, there lived a poor man who made his living by begging. He spent his days asking travelers for money as they hurried to and from the trains. One day, while seeking alms, he noticed a tall, dignified man dressed in fine clothes. The beggar thought to himself, "This man looks wealthy. If I ask him, he might give me a generous amount." With that thought, he approached the man and began to beg. The tall man paused, looked him in the eye and said, "You spend your time asking for help from others, but have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar, startled by the question, replied, "Sir, I am but a poor beggar. I have nothing to offer anyone. How can I give when I possess nothing?" The man responded, "If you cannot give, then you should not expect to receive. Life is built on exchange, not just taking. I am a businessman, and I believe in the principle of give and take. If you can offer me something, then I will gladly give you something in return." With that, the man boarded his train and left. The beggar was left sitting on the platform, deeply troubled by the man's words. For hours, he thought about what had been said. "Perhaps I don't receive much because I never offer anything in return," he mused. "But I am just a beggar. What could I possibly give?" For 2 days, the question lingered in his mind, leaving him restless. Then, on the third day, he noticed some vibrant flowers growing near the station. An idea struck him. "Why don't I offer flowers to those who give me money? It's not much, but it's something." That day, he picked a handful of flowers and carried them with him. As passengers gave him money, he handed each person a flower in return. To his surprise, people smiled, thanked him, and kept the flowers with care. His small gesture of gratitude warmed their hearts, and more people started giving him money. He quickly realized, however, that when he ran out of flowers, fewer people gave him alms. So, every morning, he began gathering flowers to ensure he could offer them in exchange for donations. One day, as he was moving through a train asking for alms, he saw the same tall man who had challenged him weeks earlier. The beggar approached him eagerly and said, "Sir, today I have something to offer you. If you give me money, I will give you a flower in return." The man smiled, handed him some coins, and accepted the flower. "Well done," he said. "You've become a businessman, just like me." Those words resonated deeply with the beggar. For the first time, he saw himself differently. He stepped off the train that day, looked toward the sky, and declared, "I am not a beggar anymore. I am a businessman. I can succeed." The people nearby stared at him in confusion, thinking he had gone mad. But the man was determined. 6 months later, at the same station, 2 well-dressed men were traveling. One of them recognized the other and extended his hand. "Do you remember me?" he asked. The second man hesitated. "I don't think so," he replied. The first man smiled and said, "We've met twice before. Don't you recall the beggar you once spoke to? The one you challenged to give instead of just taking?" The second man's eyes widened in surprise. "Ah, yes, I remember. The second time we met, I bought a flower from you. But today, you look so different. What are you doing now?" The first man replied proudly, "I was that beggar, but I am no longer the same. Today, I am a successful flower merchant. I'm on my way to another city to expand my business." Curious, the second man asked, "How did this transformation happen?" The flower merchant smiled. "You taught me something valuable that day. You said we only receive when we give. I realized I had more to offer than I thought. At first it was just flowers, but soon I began to see myself not as a beggar but as a trader. People didn't pity me. They paid for the flowers I gave them. With the money I earned, I bought more flowers and my business grew. Now, I run a thriving flower shop, all thanks to your words." The 2 men smiled and shook hands, wishing each other well as they went their separate ways. This story reminds us of the power of perspective and the principle of giving and receiving. Often, we limit ourselves by believing we are powerless or unworthy of success. But true transformation begins with a change in mindset. The beggar's journey from despair to success reminds us that no dream is too ambitious, and no situation is too hopeless. By daring to think differently, acting boldly, and believing in ourselves, we can rise above any challenge and create the future we desire. If this story inspired you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel Soul Scripted and click the bell icon for more uplifting tales.